Welcome to Rhythm. In this video, I want to share with you an effective way to facilitate weekly adjustment meetings using the Rhythm software service. The weekly adjustment meeting is part of your Do the Work rhythm. And the purpose of the meeting is to help your team maintain focus, alignment, and accountability to achieve your quarterly plan. Weekly adjustment meetings help you avoid being blindsided by missed KPIs and priorities by using the collective intelligence of your team to make critical adjustments during the quarter to achieve success. At the end of this meeting, every team member should feel inspired to attack the week ahead and achieve success. Each meeting takes typically between 1.5 to 2 hours depending on the size of your team. Now, the weekly adjustment meeting really has 4 simple agenda items. The first is to share good news with the team. Next, to talk about your company. Then talk about yourself. And then finally, talk about customer or client feedback. So let me show you how to use the Rhythm software to facilitate the weekly meeting. First, you want to click the navigation button here on the top of the screen, and it'll bring up your navigation pop-up. And you want to select Weekly Meeting from the navigation pop-up. Then you want to start the meeting by sharing good news. Each person on the team should have a couple of minutes to share either some personal or business-related good news. This will help start the meeting on a positive tone and engage the hearts and the minds of the people into the meeting itself. Next, you want to talk about and review your company theme for the quarter. What's our main thing for the quarter, and what's our success target on that main thing, so that everyone maintains focus and alignment to achieve success in the quarter. Then we want to talk about the company by reviewing our KPIs. Let's get into the numbers and understand what's going on with the numbers. To do that, there's a simple paradigm to follow of celebrating our victories and then digging in on our reds and yellows to understand where we're stuck. So first we see a super green dashboard square here for Jack, who has super green status on employee NPS. So we want to celebrate that victory together and share our learnings on that item by clicking the square and giving Jack some time to discuss the comment that he's entered here to collaborate with the team on what he's learning about employee NPS and why engagement in NPS is super green this quarter. So we want to celebrate those victories and share those learnings together. When that conversation is done, we click back in the browser window and we want to drill in on our red items next and understand where we're struggling or where we're stuck. And so here's a red KPI for number of billable days for Joe in services. And so we click on that red status item. And we can see that Joe's put in some comments here on why this is red and what his action plan is to get to green. And that Jack and Joe have been working on this even before the weekly meeting, through their weekly meeting preparation and collaboration during the week. And so Joe would take some time to work through this proposed action plan with the team, and then we would gather the collective intelligence of the team to help Joe come up with the best action plan to green. And we can add those comments right here to this conversation thread, so that when Joe leaves the meeting, he's got a captured recording of what happened in the meeting and what decisions were made. And so here we're talking about adjustments, and this is an adjustments discussion. What adjustments do we need to make to move our billable days KPI from red to green by the end of the quarter? And so that's talking about the company by reviewing our numbers. We would follow that same method through each one of these dashboard items. Now you'll notice on the KPI screen, you can choose from one of 3 views to review your KPIs. There's a scorecard view, an energy map view, and a custom dashboard view. You can use whichever view you find most effective for your team. Next, we want to talk about the company by reviewing our priorities. In planning each quarter, we determine the top 3 to 5 priorities for the quarter for both the company and for each individual. And to do that, we review this energy map, which really tells us what's going on in our business and how well it's going. And we follow the same methodology here in reviewing our priorities. We want to celebrate the super greens together and drill down on any red items that are stuck and use our collective intelligence as a team to move those from red to green. And so here we can see securing 4 $100,000 contracts by John and his team is on track for super green. So we can click on that link We can see the super green status, and we can see some collaboration that's gone on throughout the week. And John can take some time to share his learnings on why this is super green and what we've learned. We can also look at the individual priorities and help anyone that seems to be struggling. For instance, Joan is struggling on her SEO strategy priority. It's been stuck in red status for 3 weeks. So we can open that priority for Joan. And Joan can take some time in the weekly meeting to help everyone understand why this is red, what is her action plan to green, and then the team can weigh in and offer her suggestions on how to improve that action plan to green. We can click back and then look at the energy map again and follow that same process. You can also just click on any individual square to open that square and have a discussion on that item. After we've talked about our priorities, next you want to talk about yourself. So you just want to keep working your way right down this left navigation menu, and that will basically handle the agenda for the weekly meeting. So now we want to talk about yourself. Each person on the team should have a minute or two to explain their plan for the week and their week in sync notes, which include their victories, priorities for the week, anything they're stuck on, and their primary focus for the week ahead, their successful if. And each person on the team should have a turn explaining that information with the rest of the team. You just work your way down the list here on the left. Next, you want to review your all actions list. And the all actions list is really where the rubber meets the road to gaining success in achieving your plan. These are the individual action items, the who, what, whens, associated with each of the individual priorities for the quarter. And clients that review the actions list and stay on top of the actions list typically finish the quarter with a much higher percentage of green priorities than clients that don't. So take some time each week in your weekly meeting to review this actions list. Any item that's lit up in red on the right is overdue, and you should work on making adjustments to the plan based on those items to get them back on track to achieve success. This will also help hold your team accountable to achieving their priorities each quarter. Then finally, you want to talk about client feedback. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And you want to record that client feedback right here on this screen. You can add a new piece of feedback just by simply clicking the new button. Add the feedback that you received, any comments that the team has on that feedback, the client or the employee that the feedback was received from, and if any follow-up is required, you can just check that box right there. And you'll see a visual indicator of that on the screen when it's saved. And those are the agenda items for a weekly adjustment meeting. You talk about the company, you'll talk about yourself, and you'll talk about client feedback. Then you want to close the meeting and ensure everyone leaves the meeting energized and ready to attack the coming week to achieve success.